Hey guys, Patriot Picker here. My name is Chris. We are down in the eBay bunker, and if you're following my channel, I have some really cool information to show you in this video. When it comes to reselling, you can fall into a niche sometimes accidentally. You don't necessarily go out of your way and try to fall into any particular type of item, but sometimes you just have that spidey sense. And I did not intentionally go into reselling when I started with any kind of an idea that I would fall into a niche. And as I make this video, I'm not saying that all of a sudden today I've discovered what my niche is. I continue to try to be a well-rounded mercantile for our store on eBay. We sell a little bit of everything. And one of the items, though, that just keeps seeming to do well for us outside of some of your items that I've talked about before, like scrub tops, those were going really well for a while, and then they've kind of just fizzled out for us. Jigsaw puzzles were going crazy for us, and we still are selling jigsaw puzzles here and there, but again, the trend tends to be you make more sales of that kind of stuff during certain season of the year. But one item that is always something that you should always be looking for in your store are books, specifically the type of book that I'm going to show you right now. So I was in a Goodwill store and looking through the books, as I always do, and I think I've said this before in my videos, but I want to show you how my eyes and my mind gravitate toward what I end up finding. So I see this on the shelf, and I think you can kind of see the spine here of what color it is, and you can actually make out the name, and we'll talk about that in a second. But My Friend Charlie is the name of the book. Got the author's name. It's a children's book. You can see there the cover and how aged it looks on both sides. And so this is something that I tend to gravitate toward as I'm scanning through. And looking at books as they're stacked in there can get overwhelming with your eyes, and you start seeing so many colors that you don't know how to differentiate. So one thing that I think is important as a reseller, if you're looking to get into books, is just to make sure that you stop anytime you see what looks to be a spine that's older and faded more looking than the rest that have dust jackets on them and are fairly modern, fiction books and stuff like that have a lot of color. Look for the ones with no jacket and something aged. And then once you pick it up, the first thing you want to do is you want to obviously look at the condition all around. And then the first thing you want to do after that is you want to open up the very first page. And this is where it just gets exciting. So you open up the first page, and when you do, you see something like this. All right. And the very first thing that I saw was that it says, "To my friend Bill," and I won't go on and read the rest of that. And so sometimes you pick up a book and somebody has given it as a gift, and so they'll say, so for example, my name, they would say, "To Chris from Shannon 2017, and so that in itself is kind of what I call, you might want to double check more information about the book before purchasing that, because that can lower the value if all it was "To Chris from Shannon," and it's where somebody bought the book, gave it as a gift, wrote a little note in it, and then passed it on to the person they bought it for. Again, nothing spectacular about that, right? But as you go on to read, important to look at the whole picture and not just part of it. You go on to read here, and it says, "To my friend Bill, because he has eyes for the best things in life and then the signed name is the catch. James Flora. That matches with the author, James Flora. And then, not only that, but James Flora wrote a little thing underneath that says, World's Champion Nose Stander and One Finger Elephant Lifter, and actually illustrated and drawn a piece of artwork to explain what he was saying to this gentleman. So what we have here is a signed copy by the author of this book to his best friend. Okay? And how I got a hold of this, yeah, find out where you guys are in the camera. There you are, right there. And so, not only did I find this, I have no idea how I came about it, obviously, how it ended up getting into Goodwill, but I went and started doing some research on James Flora, and guys, he turns out to be a really historical figure in regards to illustrator and book writer, okay? Already passed away years ago, but ended up finding a treasure piece here. So I was able to take this book, okay? And by the way, it's just a kid's book. It's called My Friend Charlie, and it is a story about Charlie and his friend, and they get into all kinds of different situations, and it talks a little bit about each of the situations they get into. And then you go back. One more thing that you always want to do. And you look at the copyright date. And in this one, it was 1964. First edition. First edition, baby. So we have multiple things going on for us here. We have a vintage book in pretty good shape for its age. We have a signed copy. We have artwork done by the author. We have a first edition and a classic. Okay, so this book I paid $2 for and just sold it for $54 on eBay. Now, I did some research, attempted to locate family members of this book, because what I wanted to do was try to, I'd like to get this back in the hands. Maybe this guy had grandkids, and maybe the grandkids had never seen an actual drawn picture by, with pencil by their great-grandfather, or their grandfather, I should say. And this would be something that they would want to get a hold of, okay? And so I tried to reach out and find some folks that I thought were related, and I ran into roadblocks, and I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody. So I went ahead and listed it. And a gentleman overseas bought this book. Now, he has an American name. I have reached out to him through eBay email to see if possibly he's related. Waiting on that email to come back now. When you find stuff like this, guys, you may be asking me right now, and this would be a thought that I would be having if I were watching your video telling this. You might be saying something like, dude, you could have got more for that book. And, the truth is maybe I could have. Maybe I could have listed this book for $100. Maybe I could have listed this book for $200 and gotten that amount of money. But, as resellers, what we do is we do our research to look up what we think we should want to list it for. And that's what I listed it for. So that's what it sold for. And I'm happy. The buyer's going to be happy. And that's what it's all about. But I wanted to do this video real quick to show you, if you're not into books, get into books, because this isn't the first time, as you probably know if you've been following my channel. This isn't the first time that this has happened, and it's not going to be the last. I have that ability to just, be interested in books. A lot of people pass books up because I guess they have their own reasons. But I myself like books, so I'm drawn to them when I'm inside of a thrift store and there's books around. I'm going to always look at them and see what we can find. Now, you don't always find these kind. You don't always find, all the details that I just showed you here. But sometimes you do, but you won't find them unless you look for them. And as the old quote says, you can't catch a fish if your pole's out of the water. So this concludes this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you got something from it. And be looking out for some more video footage of some yard sales that we have recently been to, and some items that we are putting up in our store. So, with that said, hope everyone's doing well, and we'll catch you guys again on the flip side.